For those I have not had the pleasure, my name is Kevin Reich, and I am filling in as the chair this evening. Mrs. Moore is away and not available. We are meeting today, Tuesday, September the 9th. This is our regularly scheduled meeting. It now has begun at 6:30. I would delight in all of you rising to say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Alrighty, a motion has been made and seconded. Any need for discussion? It doesn't appear so. All those in favor of adopting the agenda as proposed, acknowledge by saying aye.
Aye.
Our next item is the approval of the minutes, and we've had a number of meetings since
Motion to approve.
motion to approve.
Second.
A second, and we're approving the minutes of August the 12th, August the 19th, August the 26th, and September the 2nd. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I don't believe we have any presentations.
None tonight.
Our next item on the agenda is public remarks. This is one of two opportunities where you'll have the opportunity to be able to share any thoughts that you might have. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. We also would greatly appreciate it if when you rise and are acknowledged that you very clearly state your name and your address so that Mrs. Sorois, the town manager's administrative assistant, will be able to acknowledge not only your presence but your thoughts in the meeting minutes. With that in mind, is there anyone who would like to share any thoughts this evening? Yes, Mr. Rich?
Good evening, Mike Rich, 64 Long Crossing Road.
Okay.
The reason I'm here tonight is I'd like to ask the council and the town manager to look into the culvert that was to either be repaired or replaced on Long Crossing Road. Apparently the project has stalled, and the reason I say that, I spoke with Mrs. Sissick yesterday afternoon. For the benefit of the council members, this item was on the agenda earlier in the year, and the culvert has been in disrepair since January, February. I don't know if anyone of the council or the town manager has seen the culvert or is familiar with it. If I may, for those that have not seen it, I did take the opportunity to take a picture of the road. And the reason I say that the project is stalled, I guess at the present time there's no funding. Originally, the replacement and repair of the culvert was on the town council agenda meeting earlier in the year. And the thought process was to either have the town repair it or to go out to bid. Speaking with Mrs. Sissick, the project did go out to bid, and I guess all bids, even the low bid, was too high. So the culvert has been in disrepair for the past 7 to 9 months. Nothing's been done. We're approaching winter, and the concern is, you can see by the picture, the road is very narrow, and the space between the two blocks is 11 feet 4 inches, which I had the opportunity to measure. So the concern of myself and some of the other residents on the street is, number one, with the winter approaching, and the size of the plows, will the plow be able to fit through the barricades there to plow? And if the culvert does totally collapse, does the town have any alternate plans of how the residents of Long Crossing, at least on the dead end section, can be able to get out of the street?
Okay.
So if either council or Mr. Maniscalco, maybe if they have any comments or can get back to me, or to put it on the agenda for the next town council meeting, so the residents of the street have an update. We would appreciate, because there is some concern, especially if the road does collapse, as far as being able to get in and out of the street, fire protection, things of that nature.
This obviously is public comment, and it's a one-way street in a sense. You're presenting to us. I did note that both Mrs. Soroyce and Mr. Maniscalco, as well as I, and I'm sure many others, were taking down notes as to what you had said, and I will look to the town manager to work with Mr. Sissick and then report back to us. But I do appreciate that. Is there anyone else this evening that, way in the back? Yes.
Hello, my name is Karen R. Johansmeyer. I'm a resident of Portland at 16 Penny Corner Road, Portland, Connecticut. But I'm a member of the East Hampton 3rd Connecticut Regiment of Fifes and Drums. And yes, we still exist. Thank you. But I'm also part of the Company of Fifers and Drummers. And as many of you understand, the company represents the embodiment of the American spirit, and we're participating in the Big E next week on Connecticut Day. Not only do we represent the town of East Hampton, we represent Middlesex County, eventually the state, and the New England region. And all the eyes will be upon the Big E next week. And the company is participating. We have on average 48 to 52 corps members from various corps attending, and we'd be honored to have us in your thoughts that things turn out well for everyone, and the membership to also increase. I thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments? Yes.
Ted Turner, 223 Hot Hill Road. I'm chairman of the Board of Finance, but I'm speaking as one board member only. On your agenda tonight, items 8, C, and D are policies that were put together by the Board of Finance on your recommendation to do our best to put a good package together, and we believe we have. The special revenue policy was passed 7-0. Also, and I think that the special revenue policy does give flexibility to department heads that are needed to do their job. Second one is the capital policy. Again, this is a guidance for department heads and so on. And there's a figure in there of $5,000 that was invented in the 80s, right? In the mid-80s. This is 2014. Our recommendation is $10,000 versus the 5. I believe there's safeguards in our system here that will prevent any problems with a $10,000 figure. My personal view is it should go up further than that. But I think a $5,000 figure is archaic and does not give the flexibility to the department heads to do their job here. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Wesley Jenks, 45 Meeks Point Road. This is more, I have more questions, and I do see the lake is on the agenda. I'm born and raised in East Hampton, lived on the lake my whole life, so I've seen it go through its ups and downs. I see water quality is on the agenda for tonight, so I will wait to hear from that. But I do have some questions that maybe could get answered at a later time, maybe at the next meeting. First one being the catch basins around the lake, and I'm just asking for my own educational purposes because I really don't know what's being done. So I have a question as to the current catch basins and how they're working, if they need updating, and I heard some of the new paving might already have some in place. The next question would be if there is a law in place for fines regarding the watershed area and people using toxic chemicals to fertilize their yard or wash their cars. and if there's ever been any notification given to any residents in those watershed areas, and if there's any way to actually implement those fines. The next question is the dam status. I've heard there's a feasibility study that's been ordered by the DEP, and I'm curious as to what the status is regarding that. And I'm curious as to if the dam were to break, who would be liable for it? Who's gonna repair it? Who's responsible, so to speak? Because somehow I doubt that the person in charge right now would actually pay for those repairs. And then also regarding the dam, if it's ever been discussed to actually draw down the lake moving into the winter time in order to allow fresh water to come up to increase water quality. My next question is if there's any budget allocated towards the lake. You know, I see the lake is probably the #2 asset of this town right behind the school system. So I'd like to know, you know, what money's being put towards the lake. And I heard Connecticut has now listed it as an endangered lake, and I'm curious as to whether the state has offered any type of funding to help with the overall water quality of the lake. And that's pretty much all my questions for now, and maybe at the next meeting could get some answers to those.
Thank you very much. Yes, I see a hand.
Me? I'm Doreen Nablo, 43 Bay Road, and my question is about the alert that went out about the quality of the water before the holiday. I got that alert, and it was not specific at all, and I didn't let anyone go in the water, and then I heard through the grapevine that those tests were inconclusive. So I'd like some answers to that, because in my mind, if the tests were inconclusive, and I was told to stay out of the water, it ruined my holiday. And I love that system, I think it's great, but I need more detail if you're gonna call me with that kind of a call. I need detail, because everybody wants to know, why, what? And the next day, I expected another call that said, all right, the tests reveal this, you know, or something. But I would like to have more detail. I live on the lake, my money goes into the lake, and I'd really like to be involved. And then I would like to follow with what the young man said over here, and that I'd like to see the lake drawn down. When I was younger, I've been on the lake for 50 years, the lake used to be drawn down, so you had about 6 feet of beach in front of every wall. And I think that helps the quality of the water.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Following, I won't stand because I don't need to. Following what.
Oh, but we do need your
sorry,
name
William
and address.
Zaleski, 77 Spellman Point Road.
Okay.
Following what Doreen said, I really would like to see the lake drawn down because the ice can do tremendous damage to these seawalls, and there's no benefit to anybody other than masons for that to happen.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have something to share? Okay. Oh, yes, sir.
Joseph Fest, 25 Beach Point Road. Everybody's saying the right things about the lake, but I think one of the most important things is communication. Because if we don't know what's going on in town, and I don't think it's something you can send out in a tax bill, but because sometimes some people have mortgages, so those tax bills do not get to you directly, but, you know, we're talking about fertilizers. Does everybody in town, I do because we've been residents of East Hampton for over 50 years. 2 years ago, we built a new house, so we've made an extensive investment into this town. We already had one before, but we've done it. I went through all the process. I know what a water garden is. I know how to put drainage into it to make sure that it doesn't go into the lake. I know, because I went through the process, I've learned what types of things we can use for grass, what types of things we can't, because I paid attention and I care. And I'm not saying that the other people on the lake don't care. I don't think the other people on the lake truly know exactly what's going on. The water quality's bad. Well, why? What's the reason behind it? Maybe if they knew that instead of having a drain coming out of your roof drain, if you put it into Now, I have an underground system that Stop and Shop can borrow. You don't need to go that crazy. I did because it handled everything, and it was one big unit. And we did it, we had the room to do it. But even if you did the old-fashioned, dug the hole, put the rocks down into a basin for a regular drain system, and just let the water go down into there, it's gonna naturally filter out into the ground instead of filtering out into the lake. You know, people who have their lawns cut, tell the guys to cut the lawns. Don't shoot the clippings into the lake, shoot them back in. I mean, simple things, but these are things that, and again, I don't mean to say people aren't following, but possibly if you as the town council would take the lead and show everybody by whatever means, I don't know, and I'm not asking, I would truthfully rather you spend money on the lake than sending a mailer to me, to be honest with you. I'd rather see the water quality come up and change. You know, I look at a picture right there, that center of the town, what is it? It's the lake. We've gotten bad press twice now because of water quality, and I have, you know, my friends love our house. It's a typical situation, you know, I love to own a boat, but I'd rather you have the boat, so I don't have to worry about the maintenance, I just come to your house and use it. You know, when you have friends that have been coming over here for 25 years, and these are just my friends, not my mother's friends or anything like that, these are just my friends, saying, geez, I heard about the algae thing, what's going on, can we swim? Can we come next year, what happened? These, you know, it's, PR is bad. So, you know, you don't do things because of PR, but we do have to fix it. I mean, it's as Wes just said, it's the second asset. I did not get educated here in town, so I cannot talk about the education system, but I'm sure it is great. But that lake is right there behind it. And really, it's something that needs to be addressed, and the question of, you know, is there a budget for the lake to do things? I'd like to see what the budget is of the revenue you get from the lake. I'm gonna assume it's probably in the neighborhood of 30% of your town's income of everybody around the lake of what we pay extra.
I tried
3
to
minutes
keep it to
for-
3 minutes, but
Yeah.
but I was overly generous, I'm sure, and someone will remind me of that. Yes,
Hi, Donna Jenks, 33 Meeks Point Road. How are you all? Back when they were testing the lake, I don't know how many years ago, I was kayaking and I met up with the chemist, or the scientists who were taking samples. And I said, please tell me, what's going on? He goes, okay. First off, he said, believe this when I tell you this. You have the cleanest lake from here to Maine. I'm like, what? He goes, yes, because all those lakes have dangerous plant life. I go, well then what's going on? He goes, I'm gonna tell you in a nutshell. It's coming from you, all of you. All the building that has gone on around the lake. Has anybody cared? Has anybody thought where all that runoff goes? We have a hole. So when you have hills, it all goes into the hole. And it's been years that we've talked about this. Years after years. My father, before he died, his wish, he lived here, he was the oldest resident on Lake Pokipog, and his dream was to be able to swim before he died in a clear lake, and it didn't happen. So is that gonna happen to me too? We're gonna keep coming to these meetings and talk to the wall and nothing's getting done? How about putting in the paper, there's gonna be a fine for putting fertilizers in your yard in the watershed area? How about let's sing some letters in the paper about this? How about educating our town? West Hartford, Glastonbury, they're not allowed to do this. They're not, many towns have ordinances against this. I went to the town manager, I said, do we have an ordinance against putting chemicals on the lawn in the watershed area? I said, I was told that we did. He goes, well, let's look. He looked in the book and there is not. And I said, well, why? He goes, because the town poo-pooed it. You gotta be kidding me. Why would you poo-poo it? It's the most important asset in the lake, in the town. So let's have some results. Let's lower the lake as low as it can go. Let's let the people clean up around their area. The damage that was around the lake, I wanna ask any of you in the panel, have you been on the lake to see the damage, what happened? No. Have you? There has to be 30 people with walls that are in the water right now. And then when it rains, guess what happens? All that dirt behind the walls is in the lake now. So, we had the water changed in June. Last summer, the water turned green the last 2 weeks of August. Why? Because we had so much rain in May and June. We had a very late spring. And all that, everybody's fertilizing their yards. So that's where it's coming. These scientists said, it's you guys putting the chemicals in your yard. So let's stop this by spring. Let's not put any sand around the lake. Let's go back to the spray that we were chemicaling and getting rid of the ice on the streets around the watershed area. It was really good for a couple of years, and all of a sudden I saw sand again. I'm like, come on, we have to pay attention. Put things in the paper, make the community, I mean, more and more people use the lake, and that's another thing I'd like to bring up. Why is it that your Chatham Inn can post in their yard docking space for anyone anywhere that can pay for a dock space at Chatham Inn? So does that mean I can put a sign in my yard saying, I have dock space available? You know, it's crazy, and you know, well, whatever, so that's, we need to just step up there. It's been years and years we talk about the lake. When is something when are we gonna care? I'm just frustrated, very frustrated.
Thank you very much, and I'm pretty confident that everyone here has heard what you've had to share tonight. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before we continue on? You will have another opportunity at the end of the meeting. Very good. Then why don't we begin by looking at item number 6, bids and contracts. I believe the item tonight is the reevaluation bid that was prepared and received. Mr. Maniscalco, would you like to share with us any
Thank you.
information that you have?
Annually, the town has to go out for revaluation, and usually we hire a contractor to do that. And thankfully tonight our assessor is here to provide us her thoughts as well, but in your packet there is an agenda report. They did bid this process out. The lowest qualified bidder is Tyler Technology in the amount of $152,400, which includes an additional $19,000 for 20 court cases. Those court cases individually are $950 apiece. Just so everybody's aware, I believe, where's the one bid I'm looking for? Municipal bid is $158,000, which includes unlimited court appearances, just so you see that as a comparison. I believe that would probably be next in line, but I don't know if the assessor has any additional comments to make, but.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Do you have any comments?
Pretty much the 3 companies that were qualified can do our reval with no problems. What I look at is Board of Assessment Appeals, how would they work with them? How will they work with the community? And how will we do with our litigation? You know, when you go to court, you want to have the best litigators you can get. And, you know, Tyler and Vision are going to charge us per day fees for litigation. Of course, we don't know how many we will have. But I wrote this up with 15 court cases, and I think you have 20?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it would be the same thing. The low bid out of the 3 that I feel are qualified was Tyler at $133,400. They had additional charges for days at court, which were $950 a day, and Vision had $900 a day with 3 free days. But they also charged me extra for photos, so there are additional costs involved that may not be reflected today on that.
How many court cases did we have last time we did?
Well, I have somebody that takes me to court for every property he has, and he has a considerable amount of properties. So we don't know exactly how many, but I'm assuming we're gonna have between 20 and 50.
Some of that's gonna be based upon what happens at BAA as well. you know, and if the Board of Assessment Appeals agrees to whatever anybody comes in with, they won't need to take us to court. If they don't agree with it, then the next step from there would be court, so.
And then a follow-up to that with the number of cases, is there any statistics on these three companies as what they have used for their valuation, what they've used for their comparables, how they hold up, in court
Yeah.
versus the other three companies?
Well, of course, we had municipal last time, and we held up pretty well. Matter of fact, we were over negotiating and we never actually made it to the actual court cases, so, you know, their appraisal fees are extraordinary. I went into Stop and Shop, for instance, and, we were extremely happy with what happened with that. Stop and Shop always takes you to court, always goes in to see what they can get, and they're, you know, very well manned with their appraisers and their attorneys when they go in. So, you know, I mean, for me personally, if I wanna go to court, I wanna get, the MAI appraisers, which are municipal. And basically, you know, anybody's gonna give us the right values because I'm gonna approve them. And they're gonna go up to the state, and the state's gonna say they're either good or they're bad. And, you know, your coefficient of dispersion's gonna be around 10, or they're not gonna go up there. So, you know, the market analysis is gonna show us the values will be. And, you know, it's not anything that's in the sky, it's an actual market analysis for sales that we have had. Of course, we haven't had many sales, but we have had enough within the last 5 years, you know. It's gonna start now, and it's gonna go till October 2015.
Have you worked with any of these firms in the past?
No, I worked with municipal last time. Tyler Technologies, of course, the name is something that, you know, I don't be responsible for everything Tyler does, because I'm Tyler. So, you know, but they have a very good reputation. They all say that they can work with the Vision software, which is what we have, Vision software, so they have to actually, you know, be able to get in there and get in the charts and make sure that everything's right. So, you know.
I personally am much more comfortable with municipal evaluation. It's a flat fee, we know what we've got. If they got one case to go to court, they win. If they got 50, we win.
History there too.
It's a
And
flat
I mean,
rate.
for $5,600, you're
Right.
talking, and if you work well with them, I don't know if I'd upset the apple cart over such
Yeah,
a small
I
amount.
don't.
I agree with
Extremely
that.
well with them, they have a great reputation, and they worked with me last time.
I'm good.
Me too.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, are you okay if we do, okay, motion to, award the bid to Municipal Valuation Services in the amount of $158,000 for the upcoming, 2015 property tax revale.
Second.
Okay, we have a second amongst us. Any further discussion? I don't see any interest. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So carried.
Thank you.
I don't believe we have any resolutions, ordinances, policies, and proclamations tonight. Continued business. Discussion of lease at 205 East High Street.
Yes, thank you. Since the council directed me to enter into the lease for 205 East High Street, the town has done so. We also took that property to P&Z, had a public hearing, and that was approved. I believe it was